Our final speaker, Ziyao, leaves us with a thought-provoking question in a world where reality itself feels incredibly editable. When reality becomes editable, who stays in the picture? Please welcome Ziyao.
Hi everyone. Let me tell you a story first. When I was little, I wrote something in my diary. So my story was about being transported to the moon, as Angela has already introduced a little bit in her speech. So imagine that the future had a machine that could send you to the moon in seconds. You stepped in on Earth, and then you stepped out on the moon. You waved at a camera, you made a joke about low gravity, but then society just moves on like another boring commute. And the main character of my story, let's call him Jay, he steps out on the machine and then he just thinks it's another normal day. But one day later, he finds assassins after him. He frantically scampers to the nearest police station only to find out that the assassins are appointed by his wife. His wife on Earth. Confused, he checks the footage. And then he finds that another person who appointed the assassins is himself. That's right. He saw the same face. He saw the same scars. Well, is it a clone of him on Earth trying to take over everything that he has ever had? Let's stop here for a second and take a look at the version on Earth, the Earth Jay. He has an even more horrifying story. What happened to him was that he had a meeting a week later on the moon, and then he stepped onto the machine as usual. But then suddenly a red flag appeared, and then it died with a signal to tell him to come back and schedule another day. He went home, but then found out that another copy of him was on the moon. The secret lies here. This machine, it didn't move you like an elevator. What it did was that it scanned every single detail of you on Earth, destroyed the original, and then rebuilt you on the moon one-to-one perfectly. What happened in the Earth Day version now is that he was magically cloned again on the moon while he was told to go back home. But what is, according to the Moon Jay's version, was that the original piece on the Earth failed to get destroyed. So Earth Jay is the one who should die. Well, my story just ends abruptly here, because like all little kids writing stories, I of course didn't finish my own. But one question remained with me throughout all those years, which is also why I'm standing here today, is which one is the real Jay? And why were assassins only after the Moon Jay and no one wanted to kill the Earth Jay? This story used to feel like fantasy. But it doesn't anymore, because we're already entering an era where everything is editable, and even cloning or making another version of yourself is possible. It is editable first, we know, like digitally, and then socially, and eventually in the future, maybe even physically. Let's start with the most basic technologies accessible to all of you sitting here right now. Photo editing. But where's photo editing used? Aside from maybe adjusting parameters to make the evening sky on film look more radiant, or adjusting your nose to make it look prettier in a party picture with your friends, the political scheme has been using the technology of photo editing nearly 100 years ago. Does anyone recognize who this is? Stalin, yes, exactly. This is just a Stalin walking beside a canal with another person. Well, do any of you recognize who this is then? No. Well, I didn't recognize him at all either, because when I saw this picture in my politics class, I got this version. So there was no man. But just for reference, this person is named Nikolai Yashov, and once he was very, very close to Stalin, and he was pretty famous. But then, later, he fell out of favor, and then Stalin told retouchers to remove him from the picture, which is why we got this photo. So before I even started preparing for this talk, I didn't even know that this version of the picture existed. I didn't even know that a person named Nikolai Yashov existed on this earth and once walked on it. So, for us, for all of us sitting here today, was Nikola Tesla real? This is something to be think about. Is body continuity actually what makes you you? Because as a student of philosophy, we usually ask the question common in metaphysics is when everything is changing, like in the introductory video of the Ship of Theseus, or that every 7 years all of the cells in your body change. What makes you you? What makes you the person who is sitting here and thinks, oh, I am someone. Definitely not body continuity in this case then, because was Nikola Tesla real? But probably you guys might be asking another question. With all of your brilliant minds sitting down in this room and already listening to 3 or 4 hours of TED Talks, you probably won't just believe about anything on a photo. You wouldn't believe this is true. Well then, what about believing in your brilliant minds themselves then? Would you believe yourself? A psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus once told us that your memory works not like a recording, but your memory works like a Wikipedia page. Everyone knows what a Wikipedia page is, right? And from what I know, a Wikipedia page is the possible worst resource you could ever use to write a research academic paper. And all the teachers would probably go against citing Wikipedia on your citations page. Why? Probably because anyone can edit it. Anyone can reach in and revise it. This is what Elizabeth Loftus compares to our memory. Your memory is just like a Wikipedia page. Other people, like your friends or family, or even yourself, they can reach in and revise your memory at any time of the day. So if you think that your identity or your continuity depends on a perfect archive, then too bad. Your memory isn't perfect in the first place. Let me tell you about a split brain research experiment. Oh, you might ask, then what if I don't remember something? I know that my memory is really bad, but I still feel like I am the same person from when I was 5-year-old Ziyao. So split brain research associated with Michael Gazzaniga's citations to him work showed us that something called a left brain interpreter. And the left brain is the part of your brain which controls the speaking area. And that means whenever the speaking part of your brain doesn't know about something, so when it forgets, when it has a stitch in your memory, it automatically just invents an explanation. And this also happens to people who were in a tragic accident and then they couldn't remember a few months of things that happened. They just automatically invent it because your body is trying very desperately to keep you the same person continuity over across time. So that's why you feel like you are the you from since when you were born, instead of being a big gap in your identity. Okay, so with all of these knowledge that we have now, let's revisit my childhood story. In my story, what makes Earth Jay or Moon Jay the same person? Or what even makes both of them or none of them real? I think this is where we start entering a warning that our epoch is entering. It is, it's supposed to be epoch, because as Mr. Jonathan corrected me before, it's not echo of the epoch, it's echo of the epoch. So this is a warning in the epoch we are entering today. This warning is when people cannot settle your identity by, let's say, your memory or by physics or reasoning, what people settle it by is power. And anyone who's heard of or read Animal Farm or 1984 growing up probably heard of George Orwell, right? Aside from the talking animals or Big Brother, there is another line that hit upon me when I was a kid. This line is here. It's important enough that a person who doesn't like making PowerPoints made a slide just of the sentence. Who controls the past controls the future, and who controls the present controls the past. When I was little, I just noticed one word because it appeared 2 times. Control. And this is control across time. This is power across time, across the present, the past, and the future. So it sounds like something really magnificent. But what does it actually mean? Well, in my story, Moon Jay was the one who got assassinated because Earth Jay thought he was a less legitimate version of him on the moon. Why? Because Moon Jay, it didn't have anything. It just had I am Jay. But Earth Jay had his wife, his bank accounts, his passport, and the official timeline and everything on Earth along with him. So in the story, Earth J possesses more than Moon J, and Earth J has more control over his own actions, over his own property, and he has more power over Moon J. And this is why he is the one who gets to send assassins, legally, I guess, to the moon, instead of the moon sending assassins back on Earth. This is exactly real in our world right now. And this is what edited history does. It erases people out of the picture, just like Nikolai Yezhov was erased out of the picture just with one sentence of Stalin. It is people in our era right now who are erased, and they don't have enough witnesses, they don't have enough records, they don't have enough people to be watching them in order to justify that they are right, they are true, or even that they existed in the first place. And they are exactly the people who are minorities. They're the minorities whose names get misspelled, whose languages get dismissed, and whose lives are told about them, but not even with them in the picture, as we can even see in a lot of history books. So I think with all of those, I would say the definition of power is probably control over telling the story of another person and the ability to make a definitive story of that person. With all of these, I would like to end with a line that my childhood story probably didn't even know it was structuring. It is, when reality becomes editable, like a miniature of Jay, when reality, time, your appearances, anything else, and even when yourself becomes editable, who stays in the picture, or who has the ability and the control to stay in the picture? Thank you.